Bullets chewed through the glass wall behind her. Sandra hit the floor. The briefcase clutched her chest as shards slid through her hair. A man's voice, Korean, sharp, barked from the shadows above. She couldn't see him, only the reflection of a silver pistol flashing beneath the alarm light. A second shot. Silence. Then footsteps grinding over glass. Get up. She rose slowly. Jang Min-Jae stood before her, suit dark with rain, eyes steady. The rumors painted him as untouchable, the art dealer who moved guns to museums, the man whose rivals disappeared. In person, he looked almost bored, like power had lost its flavor. You don't belong here, he said. I got lost. People who get lost in my building don't usually walk out. Then maybe I'll be your first. A faint crease touched his mouth, half amusement, half warning. He gestured toward the ruined window. Go, before the cleaners arrive. She stepped past him, pulse hammering. When she glanced back, he was still watching. 2 days earlier, she'd been in a different world, inside a windowless Interpol room that smelled like burnt coffee and fear. Agent Choi slid a folder across the metal table. Your new name is Sandra Okafor, bilingual consultant, Hansa Art Logistics, owned by Jang Min-Jae. Sandra flipped through the documents. Passport, visa, a life that wasn't hers. And if he sees through me, then improvise. Choi snapped on a pair of thin latex gloves, the same brand he'd worn the day his partner died in a sting gone bad. He pressed a cold injector to her wrist. A sting, then a burn that didn't fade. Tracker, internal, you can't remove it. She stared at the faint mark blooming under her skin. So you'll always know where I am. That's the point, he said. Bring back evidence of the shipments. No heroics, no emotions. She nodded, though she thought of her father bleeding out behind the Lagos Port Customs office years ago, caught in a crossfire traced to a Korean shipment stamped Hansa art. She joined Interpol to stop ghosts like that. Now she was shaking hands with one. Hansa Art Logistics looked like a museum. White marble floors, temperature-controlled silence, money in every reflection. Sandra arrived with a stack of files and a lie balanced on her tongue. He appeared by the elevator, flanked by guards. She bowed slightly. Translator. Nigerian? He asked. Yes, sir. Your Korean accent is perfect. His voice was mild, testing. Almost too perfect. Guess I practice harder than most. Perfect can be dangerous. When he walked away, she finally exhaled, the scent of cedar trailing behind him. At night, she sent her first report. Initial contact successful. Suspicion high. The tracer's heat pulsed under her wrist like a second heartbeat. No emotions, she whispered and shut the laptop. Days blurred. She translated export codes, smiled at men who never smiled back. Min-Jae moved like weather, sometimes gone for hours, sometimes suddenly at her shoulder, reading whatever she typed. One evening she found him alone in a dim storage hall, painting. Canvas after canvas leaned against the wall, hands reaching through smoke. He didn't look up. They were alive once, he said. People? My brother. My men. He paused, brush hovering. Maybe yours. Mine. Interpol. His tone was flat. They called it a raid. I call it murder. She froze, the air turning heavy. He still didn't look at her. You didn't expect the devil to mourn, he asked. I expected him to lie. He smiled, thin and tired. Some lies are kinder. For a moment she saw him clearly. Not legend, not monster, just a man haunted by memory. Then he turned away, ending it. 3 nights later, a cargo inspection erupted into chaos. Gunfire ripped through the dock, workers scattering. Sandra dove behind a crate. A hand seized her arm. His. Stay down. Min-Jae ordered. Firing in controlled bursts. When the shooting stopped, smoke hung over the water, and he was bleeding from his shoulder. She tore her sleeve, pressed it to the wound. You need a hospital. Too many questions there. Then at least let me. He caught her wrist. You're trembling. Because you're bleeding. A flicker of a smile. So you do care. I just don't want my boss dying on paperwork. He almost laughed, the sound rough. Good. Keep pretending. Sirens wailed closer. He leaned near enough that she felt his breath. If anyone asks, you never saw me tonight. Then he vanished into the dark, leaving only the smell of gunpowder and cedar. Back in her apartment, she scrubbed his blood from her hands until her skin stung. He's supposed to be a monster, she said under her breath. The tracker under her wrist warmed, as if listening. Choi's voice came through the comm line. You're getting too close. I'm doing my job. Jobs don't blush, Okafor. She ripped the earpiece out and dropped it on the floor. The city outside pulsed with light, indifferent. She stared at her reflection in the glass and whispered, if monsters bleed, maybe they can change. Morning slid into Seoul like smoke, thin, colorless, restless. Sandra hadn't slept. The apartment reeked of burnt coffee and her own worry. She pressed her fingers to the pulse under her wrist. The tracker still beat faintly, an electric reminder that she belonged to someone else. The file from the night before glowed on her laptop screen. She hesitated, then hit send. A green bar crawled across the monitor. Somewhere across the city, tactical units would already be moving, silent as debt collectors. She closed the laptop and whispered, just one more day. At Hansa, conversation stopped when she walked in. Dong-ho leaned against the wall outside Min-Jae's office, cigarette tucked behind his ear. You've lasted longer than most translators, he said. I'm good at pretending I belong. He smiled without humor. Pretend too long. You forget who you were. Maybe that's the point. His eyes followed her as she entered the office. Min-Jae stood by the window, sleeves rolled, tracing routes on a map. You're early. I don't sleep. Bad dreams. Deadlines. Same thing, he murmured, pouring her tea. You're helping with tonight's meeting. Don't panic. I don't. Prove it. He glanced at her wrist, the one with the tracer beneath the skin. She tugged her sleeve down. The meeting took place in a private gallery, white walls filled with priceless art, and buyers pretending they weren't laundering blood money. Upstairs, laughter and champagne. Downstairs, wooden crates behind false panels. The same export code she traced years ago to her father's death. Proof. While the crowd toasted, Min-Jae moved beside her. You look like someone memorizing the exits. I like to know where I stand. Liar, he said softly. You like to know where I'll go. When the meeting ended, he offered to drive her home. She refused, claiming paperwork. As soon as he left, she pulled a transmitter from her bag and scanned the crates. The tracer in her wrist flared, connection live. Coordinates uploaded. She whispered, "That's for you, Dad." Her phone vibrated almost immediately. Choi's voice filled her ear. Data received. Once we confirm the drop, we move. You're finished after that. Finished, she repeated. Extraction tonight. Be ready. The line clicked dead. Outside, rain misted the streets. She felt a strange hollowness where victory should have been. Back at Hansa's gate, Min-Jae's car idled, headlights cutting through drizzle. He stepped out, umbrella in hand. Leaving without notice? I turned to my report. Projects don't end that easily. I'm tired. You talk like someone with a flight booked. Maybe I just need air. Then breathe here, he said, for a heartbeat. She wanted to tell him everything. Her father's death, the mission, the lie she'd been living, but the words turned to iron in her throat. She managed a polite nod and drove away. His headlights appeared in her mirror 10 minutes later, steady and relentless. By the bridge, she pulled over, pretended to take a call. He joined her at the railing. Nice view, he said. From far enough away, Evenson looks clean. He studied her. Is that why you look at me like I'm a painting you can fix? Maybe I just like tragic art. Careful, some canvases bite back. He touched her sleeve near the tracer. You flinch every time I get too close to this spot. Why? She stepped back. Because you make people disappear. Not the right people, he said quietly. When she reached home that night, the walls seemed thinner. She opened her laptop to send the final verification, but froze at the creak of a floorboard. Min-Jae stood in the doorway, rain dripping from his coat. "You left your badge on my desk," he said. "Sloppy." She backed away. "How long have you known?" "Since the day you walked in." "Then why?" "Because you looked at me like I could still be forgiven." He stepped closer. "Who sent you? Interpol?" She didn't answer. "They've been chasing ghosts for years," he said. "I suppose I finally gave them one worth catching." "You could end this," she whispered. "So could you." He moved to the window, city lights reflecting off the glass. "I could call my men right now. You'd vanish." "Then why haven't you?" "Because my brother hesitated once before pulling the trigger. I wanted to understand why." She swallowed. Maybe he saw someone worth sparing. Outside, tires screeched. Convoy wheels hitting wet asphalt. Sirens swelled in the distance. The trap was closing. He looked at her sharply. "You told them where I live." "They were coming anyway." "You press send." "I had to." "Had to." He laughed once, bitter. "Do you even know who you work for?" Dong-ho burst into the room, gun drawn. "Boss!" "They're surrounding the block. Half the police in the city." His gaze darted to Sandra. "It's her. She sold us out." He lifted the gun. She froze. Min-Jae moved faster. The report of his own weapon thundered through the room. Dong-ho fell first, blood pooling across the carpet. Min-Jae turned to her. "You think they'll spare you now? Your evidence." "Then run with me." He shook his head. "There's no running from what I built." The sirens were right outside now, blue light flashing to the rain-streaked windows. He grabbed her wrist. She felt the tracer pulsing between them. "They're listening right now, aren't they?" "Yes." "Then listen to this." He smashed her phone against the floor. The screen shattered. The first flashbang hit before she could cover her ears. White light, soundless as death. The glass exploded inward, air turning to thunder. She hit the ground. Boots stormed to the doorway, shadows shouting commands in English and Korean. Through the haze, she saw Min-Jae stagger to his feet, firing toward the lights to draw attention away from her. Another flash, another concussive roar. She crawled for the stairwell, deafened. Smoke and dust blurred everything. Then a hand caught her ankle. Dong-ho, half alive, eyes wild, gun shaking. "Traitor," he rasped. The shot came before she could scream. Min-Jae's. Dong-ho dropped for good this time. He reached down, yanked her up, shoved her toward the back exit. "Go." "What about you?" "I owe a debt." She wanted to stay, to drag him with her, but the room erupted in another blast. She stumbled into the stairwell, coughing, half blind. By the time she reached the alley, smoke billowed from every window. The glow lit the rain orange. She looked back once, just as a final detonation tore through the upper floor. Her phone, new, cold, unfamiliar, buzzed in her pocket. A text from Choi, subject neutralized, return to base. She stared at the message until the letters blurred. Neutralized. That word again. She dropped the phone into a puddle and kept walking. Rain slicked her hair against her face. Somewhere behind her, the building hissed and cracked, folding on itself. Whether Min-Jae had burned or escaped, she didn't know. Maybe she didn't want to. The Atlantic wind cut sharp through the port of Essaouira. Sandra had grown used to it. The salt in her hair, the sting in her eyes, the way the gulls screamed like sirens that no longer reached her. She'd been here 6 months. Long enough for the ache to dull, not enough for it to fade. The official report called him deceased. She'd read it, reread it, burned it. Every time she closed her eyes, she still saw Seoul on fire. At night she painted, not landscapes. Faces blurred by smoke, hands that never reached safety. Sometimes she caught herself humming a tune she didn't remember learning, until the smell of cedar paint reminded her why. The mail arrived at dusk, a thick envelope with the Interpol seal. She almost threw it away, but curiosity was a stubborn disease. Inside, a single file. Project Phoenix, classified. A photo paperclip to the first page. Min-Jae, clean-shaven, shorter hair, eyes the same. Beneath it, Agent Phoenix, embedded asset. She felt the room tilt. The date stamp read 3 years before she ever met him. He'd been one of them. All along, the walls seemed to close in. She kept reading until the letters blurred. Halfway down the page, her own initials appeared. S.O. Her fingers went numb. He'd been sent to dismantle his own empire. She'd been sent to expose him. They had both fallen off the script. A sound scraped behind her. A door opening. Slow, deliberate. She turned. He stood in the doorway, rain on his coat, Interpol badge glinting at his belt. Older, thinner, a scar running to the edge of his jaw. "They said you were dead," she whispered. "I was," he said. "They brought me back." The words hung between them, heavy as confession. She swallowed. Project Phoenix. "That's you?" "That was me." He stepped inside, shutting the door behind him. "Now they want you." "Me?" "For the same reason they wanted me. You're too good at surviving." He slid a folder across the table. Her photo stared up from a new ID card. Agent Revenant. "I'm not one of you. You weren't one of them either. Interpol thinks the syndicate splintered after the raid. It didn't. They're rebuilding under another name. They need someone inside." She laughed once, hollow. "So I take your old job? Wear their leash?" "No, thanks." "Think of it as redemption." "I don't need redemption." "You think I do?" "You traded your soul to them." "I traded my silence. It was the only way to keep you alive. You let me believe you died. If I'd lived, you'd have followed. Maybe I would have. That's why I couldn't let you." The wind pushed through the open window, scattering the dossier pages across the floor. She watched one land by her foot, the photo of him, younger, eyes unscarred. "Why now?" she asked. "They found whoever leaked our names during the Seoul operation. Your tracker still works. They used it to trace me." Her pulse quickened. "They're coming here?" He nodded. "Tonight. What happens if I say no?" "Then I walk out that door, and you disappear before dawn." He reached into his coat and laid something on the table, a small black transmitter, humming softly. "Or you come with me. We finish what we started." She stared at the device. "You want me to spy again?" "I want you to choose what you believe in. After everything, you think I can still trust you?" "I don't need your trust. I need your anger." He extended his hand, the same hand that once painted her face in firelight, the one she bandaged on a dock full of corpses. "Come with me, Sandra. One last time." The street outside echoed with footsteps. Too many, too ordered. She looked at his hand, then at the door. Or I finish this alone, and you spend the rest of your life wondering who wins." The handle on the stairwell clicked. Voices shouted in Arabic and English, Interpol and something else, overlapping. She met his eyes. "They'll kill us both. Maybe, or maybe we finally get it right." She took his hand. The tracker under her skin burned hot, fusing pain and resolve. They ran to the back corridor, down the narrow stairs, out into the wet alley. Floodlights sliced through the fog behind them. At the corner, she stopped him. "If we do this, we finish it together." He looked at her hand gripping his. "Some debts don't clear, Sandra. Then we die trying." He almost laughed. Always a romantic. Engines roared from the street ahead. A black van screeched into view. Interpol markings wiped clean. Min-Jae pulled her behind a stone wall as gunfire ripped through plaster. "They're not with me," he said. "Then who?" A bullet tore through the door frame above her. He returned fire, short controlled bursts. The attackers scattered. She grabbed the fallen dossier, stuffing it into her coat. "If we survive this, you're telling me everything. If we survive this, you already know." Sirens wailed nearer. They sprinted toward the pier, shadows swallowed by mist. When they reached the edge of the quay, he turned to her. "You still have that tracker?" "Yes." He lifted his wrist, then followed the signal. He pressed a detonator in his other hand. The warehouse behind them erupted in flame, white light flaring against the sea. She blinked through smoke, and he was gone. Only the echo of the blast and the scent of cedar remained. The next morning, reports flooded every channel. Interpol sting operation in Essaouira. Casualties unknown. No mention of Phoenix. No mention of Revenant. Sandra stood on the pier, where the fire's reflection still danced across the water. The dossier in her coat pocket pulsed faintly, her tracker sinking to something unseen. 2 vibrations. Pause. 2 more. A heartbeat. His heartbeat. She smiled barely. Still watching? She walked into the rising sun, the smoke curling behind her like the last breath of a promise. Some love stories never really end. They just keep breathing somewhere you can't see. If this one found you, stay a little longer. Subscribe and tell me, would you forgive the devil who loved you too much?